here's a few basic, cheap tips to keep your car running throughout this winter. Number 1, engine oil. What I done myself is I consulted the manual which comes with the car, and it's pretty interesting information because it gives you a temperature range of different oils for different types of temperature ranges. Okay, so I actually switched mine in accordance with colder weather and a regular warm summer. Okay, so it covers both things, so that got done. Also the radiator, as you can see in here, it's brand new. Then the other one was leaking, and Radweld is okay for a week or so to get you to the place where you can afford a new radiator, so that's done. The coolant is all being done. Right, number 1, fuel. Always make sure that you try to keep your fuel topped up to the very top as much as you possibly can. The more airspace that you have in your fuel tank, when it gets really cold, okay, you're going to get evaporation and moisture in there, not good for your fuel lines. So try and make sure that you keep your engine topped up with fuel as much as you possibly can. Making sure that your fuel is topped up all the time, it does one of two things, okay? At the bare minimum, do not let it go below half a tank. It's an age-old rule, but if you keep it near the top, the better for you, okay? The reason being, if you needed to get to a petrol station, okay, and they're shut because of snow, all that sort of thing, you got problems with distribution networks and fuel tankers, you're going to need to make sure that you've got enough with you at all times. Also, if you can, make sure you've got some fuel at your property so you can carry on without worrying about fuel shortages or problems at petrol stations. And obviously, if it's cold and you're stranded, you're snowed in, it does happen, and it has happened numerous times, especially here in the UK. You want to make sure that you've got loads of fuel on board. The main reason being you can keep their engine running and heated inside, preventing almost certain death, which has happened to some of these poor people. Obviously, most fuel tanks are situated at the rear of the vehicle, so you've got more traction on your rear wheels. So when it is snow and icy, the more weight you've got at the back of the vehicle, the better it is to slowly move around without skidding out of control. Screen wash. Very, very important. There was a true story of an old friend of mine. This was back in the Beast from the East, so we're talking 2018 here in the UK. We had severely cold weather conditions for 10 days. He unfortunately had to go to Liverpool for a funeral, and it got so cold he had screen wash, and with the wind chill it froze instantly on his windshield. Okay, so try and make sure that you get the coldest rated screen wash that you can find on the internet, and make sure you've got it ready for when that cold weather comes along. Also, of a night time, especially if you've got cold weather predicted, it's always a good idea to leave your windscreen wipers away from the glass. The reason being, it's so easy for those to be frozen solid to your windscreen, and it's going to be a nightmare. You're going to have to wait to clear it all off. And the last thing you should ever do if they are frozen to your glass is to actually put the windscreen wipers on. This will burn out your motor, guaranteed. Very expensive, costly, pain in the backside to replace as well. Also, a new battery, okay? You can get them tested for free, all right? So you don't have to fork out on the expensive equipment to test it yourself. You can get it properly tested at any sort of car shop or a garage. You ask them nicely, most of them offering free brake tests and free battery tests. If your battery is below, say 50%, it's a good idea to get a nice new one, okay? You're looking moreover for the cranking amps. The higher cranking amps you can have, in this instance is 760 cranking amps. The more power you've got, the more chance you've got of getting your vehicle started. Also, make sure your fluids are topped up. So you've got your clutch, you've got your brake fluid, and you've got your steering fluid in there, okay? Obviously, the screen wash we touched on earlier. The radiator, make sure that's got the correct mix of antifreeze for this winter, and you should be pretty much halfway there just by doing those simple things. Also, if you haven't used them already, it's a good idea to check the fuses, okay? Anything that's running the heating matrix in your system, you need to make sure that they are functional and they are working. If they're broken, they're not working, get them replaced as soon as possible, because without heating your vehicle, it could be an icy grave, which isn't a good thing. One of the most important things that most people maybe don't understand or don't do or whatever it is silicone spray. All right, shop around, it's just the cheapest I can find, 151, got it on eBay for a few pounds. It's worth its weight in gold, trust me. When it's really cold, you get moisture trapped all inside these seals, okay? And when it gets really cold, it freezes. You can't even open the car to get into your vehicle. Without doing that, you're screwed straight away. Very, very quick, very, very simple. You can either spray it onto a rag or spray it directly onto these. I've done these already. You only have to do it once every winter, okay? So it's starting to get cold now, so now's probably a good time to do it. As I said, the last thing you want to do is get to your car in the morning to go to work and you can't even get into your car because this is frozen solid. And another thing, the key lock too. Not everyone has got remote central locking, all right? Every now and again, you're gonna have vehicles, like some of us have, with old school locks, okay? So you've got your keys. Good thing to do is you can get a little tube, a little straw that goes onto these. You spray it directly into there, which you've already done, just to make it extra safe as you spray the key, okay? You spray a bit on there, and you're just gonna work it in and out and turn it around, okay? What that's gonna do is that's gonna displace any water in there. I prefer using this instead of WD-40 because there's rubber parts and plastic parts in there, and over time if you do use WD-40 it's going to slowly start eating into those. So good old synthetic silicone spray is absolutely perfect to make sure you can at least get your key in the car and unlock it and lock it, okay? Winter time, it gets colder. The tyre pressures will drop when it's colder. First thing in the morning when it's really, really cold, if you get one of these, you can check the pressures in your tyres and you can top them up accordingly. So it's very, very simple. It doesn't require any batteries, any power. All you do is you unscrew that, put it inside there, and already we can see the pressure in our tyres is all tickety-boo and good to go. Obviously, when things get cold and they get frozen up and gunked up with salt and everything else, it's always a good idea to make sure you've got a fine pin or a needle and clear out the jets in the washers, okay? These particular ones are for the headlights. Obviously, you're going to need to do the ones for where your windscreen wipers are to make sure you get a good clean jet of really cold protected screen wash. Just clears the area, enabling it not to freeze up so you can see clearly where you're going. Very important. Obviously, if you're going to need to get into the bonnet for whatever reason, you want to make sure it opens. If this all freezes up, you can't even get it open. Again, our special friend, Mr. Silicone Spray, comes to the rescue. You just give it a good spray all the way over that. And indeed, it's exactly the same with the boot of your vehicle too. It will enable it to last all the way through the winter just by doing that one simple thing. Also, make sure all of your lights are all nice and clean, okay? It doesn't really matter too much about the bodywork. Really concentrate on the lights because it's going to be darker for longer. People need to see where you are, and it helps you navigate, especially when the lights go out with power cuts, etc. If your lights are nice and clean and working good, you've got half a chance rather than if they were kept dirty, covered in mud, etc. It's going to be a bad job. So always make sure, just give your lights a quick clean up. So there we have it, just a real quick, basic, simple video, just to give yourself a fighting chance with your vehicle with this predicted really cold, nasty winter, okay? Follow these few basic, simple tips and you should be pretty cool. There will be other videos available very soon about the kit that I carry in my vehicles and stuff that I can recommend, all right? So, be safe out there, look after your vehicles and yourself, and stay funky.